This video is made for adult collectors because, oh, probably the most talked about figure of the year so far. Let's dive into this. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, it's time to talk about this idiot. Yay. Looking at this, and there is all sorts of wrong in a lot of areas. The public perception on this figure was very negative when it got announced, mainly due to the proportions in the limbs and how messy it looks visually, not to mention being constantly compared to the Siege one. There is a lot about the way this mold looks that makes it appear to work better with the toy deco, specifically the white one. This is the original G1 toy in white, and this is the cartoon model. Now, if I put the new one in the middle with its fin out, you see how it fits the image on the left more? This really feels like it was purpose-built for toy deco over cartoon model, and then they put it in 86. I don't know, that's just a crackpot theory of mine, but it really does fit the toy design. With the skinny arms, the protruding train bits on the legs, the head, and the stuff surrounding it, the friggin' fin. Okay, the fin. I like the option that it's there, but I don't think it was necessary to include it. Talking to one of my engineer friends about this, Sam's Forge, we talked about how if it wasn't there, they could have not only potentially cleaned up the torso so it didn't look so bad, but also how it could have spread the parts count into other places. This is a cartoon figure after all, it is in 86, and in the cartoon he doesn't have the fin. However, if they do plan on doing a toy deco version of this in the future, it is necessary to have it, which again makes me think this was thought to be toy over tune. Now let's actually get on to how the toy performs and handles. Astrotrain has some fit and finish issues, some weird tolerances and some strange looking proportions, but he feels nice. The plastic is a big up on this figure. He is on the taller side of a modern leader, although he is shorter than 86 Megatron, and given how complex this guy is, he feels pretty dense and solid. Even with all the stuff hanging off, everything tabs together very well. Well, that is save for the bits on the legs, which sometimes have a mind of their own, or the shin panels that like to come out on mine. Not very often, but at certain angles they do. He has heels for days, mainly to support the train booster on his back, and that train booster does stick out a bit more than I would like it to. I think that has to do with the door gimmick. Being a much newer 86 figure, there isn't that much in the way of sculpted detail on the surfaces, but what is here I think does look nice. There is just enough lines around this to make it not look boring, though there is so much going on visually that it passes boring and goes straight into messy. It really looks like a third-party figure, and not in a good way. You know how there are some of those third-party figures that have all those holes all over them for the air escape for the metal pins and whatnot? Not to mention some of their proportions can be really out of whack because they like to make things super complex and stuff. This feels like that, reminding me of Toy World. I think it was Evilistar was their Astrotrain, or Magic Square, any Magic Square figure. Both aesthetics I don't particularly like, and this kind of looks like those aesthetics. The arms, man. They are noodles, like mine, but I am working on that. But here, what doesn't help is the size of the shoulders, and specifically the size of the hands. They are on the large side to fit the articulated fingers, and because of that, they're too big for these arms, and it makes them look even more like noodles. It's so they fit in the other modes because they curl around and become the top of the shuttle and whatnot, but they become sacrificed in robot mode, and I will get into that more. It will become more apparent later, don't worry. The torso is also very long. It feels like that's partially because it has to fit the fin and all that. Really wish it wasn't there, then this could have probably been all cleaned up. The legs look all right for the most part. I don't like these bits hanging off. Again, they were going for toy first, and this would have been fine, but it just looks weird. Not to mention, as I said earlier, they kind of have a mind of their own, and half the time they like to just unpeg themselves. And even though he has large heels, my figure's ankles are a wee bit loose, so sometimes he just leans back ever so slightly if you so much as poke him. You do get a lot of stuff with this guy. There's a cartoon accurate gun, a toy gun, 3 blast effects, and a choo-choo effect. Okay, so I was getting ready for the next shot, and the line that I wrote down is, I do like how he comes with new effect parts. It's always great when they throw those in, but so I'll put the effect part in this gun, and I went to go put them on the tip of this gun. They don't fit. They don't fit on the gun he comes with. That doesn't want to. Does a regular blast effect work? I need to grab one. I stepped on wheelies. Oh no, Venom fell. Here, we have one of Death Source's effect parts. Yeah, see, that fits. Why does this not? Does this fit on a normal figure's gun? I need a normal. Here we go. Optimus Prime's gun. If I squish it, it fits. But on here, it simply does not. Oh, there we go. I got it. Why was that so difficult? A Perceptor just fell off the table. I do like how it comes with all these new effect parts. It's always great when they throw those in. The head sculpt is pretty nice with the massive yellow stripe on the top and his beady red eyes poking through his gray face. Though the head does seem to sit a bit higher up than I would like, it makes the shoulders seem a little low. The chest specifically is a bit on the chunkier side as these become the front of the train, but I remember when the initial reveal photos they had came out and they were like folded up and it looks real nasty. Hasbro, please take better photos of the things you are trying to sell to us. I don't understand why they don't, but they do fold down and they look less bad, I guess. I will say the hip skirts feel a tiny bit on the thin side because they have to fit into the leg panels, but they don't feel like they're gonna break or anything. Like they feel fine, they just look thin, so you don't have to worry about them snapping or whatever. Given that he is a leader, he is quite posable, but a lot of what the joints do is just strange. The head is on a ball joint that can spin around and look up. No real tilt to speak of at the neck. There is a cutout on the back of the head for him to look up, but that only works when the head is straight. If you rotate the head anywhere, he can no longer look up nearly as far, which is a bit weird. The shoulders can do a full 360, but the wings get in the way. The wings, which don't like sitting flush on my copy, so they're a bit close to the arms, and I don't really like that. He does have bicep swivels and double jointed elbows that are very, very stiff, but they are there. The wrists can rotate, but they rotate at a slightly strange angle because of how they have to sit in the alt mode, and the fingers can open and close. Thankfully, even with all of this junk around him, he does have a waist joint, though like the Seeker mold, it's a bit limited because of all that stuff around there, but I am glad it's there. It does, however, limit the hip articulation though when the waist is rotated because of the bits of the train on the back here, they bump into the legs. The hip skirts can move out of the way, so the hips can go forward all the way, but they only go back just a little bit. They can go in and out too, though they are a wee bit loose on mine. He does have thigh swivels and ratcheted knees. That was a surprise, but it's a decent feeling ratchet. And the ankles can pivot forward and back a bit, and they can tilt, but only a tiny bit. It's got all the joints, but a lot of stuff in the way that posing him can feel a wee bit on the awkward side. The heels are big enough, so thankfully the backpack doesn't knock him over in most poses. I just find that I can never really get him looking good without cheating. The instructions are straight dookie. They suck, and the first time getting this dude into train mode took me like 20 minutes. Once I got the hang of it, it was okay, but that initial attempt, ooh. It's like watching the burrito turn in the microwave. Disappointed that you know it's a frozen burrito, but you still gotta eat it because you're hungry. That's what this figure is like. Anyways, let's get these idiots off. See, now he's leaning backwards. The ankles are not great. So, we're gonna make him a choo-choo train. And this was a pain in the ass when I first got it. So, to start with, what we're going to do is peg the legs together. They're gonna clip in several different spots, and then we're gonna take the lower body here and just move it like that. Bring the feet back, and the reason you wanna move the lower body is because you gotta get the landing gear underneath here. So we're just gonna get that all put in place and then bring that up like this for now. Then you're gonna take the head and you're gonna unpeg it and unpeg the backpack and bring all of this out and rotate it. We're going to come to the chest and you're going to pop the chest plates up, bring these sections out, and then take the fin here and bring it up as well. Then you want to take the arms and you want to rotate them 90 degrees this way so that the gaps are facing you, because that's a tab, or a port I should say, for a tab. And then you bring this section around like that. Then you want to bring them in at the, it's not a butterfly joint, but you can technically use it as one if you want to, but you can bring them forward at the butterfly joint like that, and then these two tabs here will go into those two slots in the arms. So you fold this down and get that into place, and then peg these into the top of the shoulders to hold all of this together. And once you have that done, very important step, you want to take the legs and you want to bring them down one ratchet click like that, or I did two, but you know, when they're straight they're like this. You bring it down one ratchet click so it sits like this, otherwise nothing's gonna peg into place. Then you take this front section here and you bring it down, and it's going to slot into place here. There's the nose cone of the shuttle. You want to bring these bits out. We're just gonna leave them out there for now. Fold this back. We're then going to take the head and fold it into the back section here and bring this out. It's going to peg in to the top of the roof and just leave it back here. It's still a bit of a mess. This piece here was a little bit annoying to fudge into place because there's several hinges and things. So you bring it back this way, then you bring this, see, even I'm forgetting. You bring this up here, then you straighten this section out, and then you fold this down, and it's going to peg into the shoulder and peg into the fuselage here. So you get that plugged in on both sides. Can't see, there's a camera in my face. It's gonna come unpegged again. This is not the most secure connection in the world. I'm just gonna hold it. So when you do that, you wanna bring this section down, you want to bend the wings a little bit, just so you have enough space to unpeg these and fold these out, and then fold out these little side sections here. Then you want to peg the feet into the wings. So there's these little tabs that go into little slots there. And once, I feel like this is easier to get those lined up first. Once you get those lined up, you can get everything else in here lined up, which is kind of annoying. So there are little tabs and pegs and things it needs to pop into place at, as well as pegging into the linkages on the wheels. They'll cooperate. Oh my God, cooperate. There goes one side. But once you have that all linked up, you then take the back section here and fold it over. And there you have train mode. Train mode looks neat. I think it's the best of the 3 modes, honestly. It is a bit on the boxy side with a short chimney and whatnot, though you can alleviate the short chimney by adding the choo-choo effect, and damn, I am actually really glad that they included that effects part. And getting the linkages working, that's a really cool gimmick. The back door does open to reveal nothing, but I am glad that they made use of that otherwise immobile brick at the back. Even though pegging those side bits into place can be annoying, the train mode does hold together quite well, and I love how it went from a primarily gray robot to a purple train. Now let's get him into shuttle mode, the second best mode of the entire set. See, the train mode is so just fine that I don't think there's anything else really worth mentioning about it other than it's solid. The shuttle mode, though, not as fine. So we're gonna unpeg this back section here, bring it down. You don't have to unpeg it from here, just from here. Then we're gonna take the linkages and separate them on both sides. You kind of got to get your fingernails in there, and if you don't have any fingernails, that's a little annoying. Then you want to pull this entire assembly out on both sides and basically just fold these bits up like you're going back into robot mode. So bring this down, bring this around, and it'll clip into place. Okay, once that's all clipped in, you then want to take the wings, bring them down, rotate them, and fold them up here. These bits are going to come down and they're going to peg into here and here. But before you do that, you want to take this entire top section and, well, no, don't do that because that unpegs it. You want to bring it down at the ratchet hips. And then these gray pieces are going to peg into the arms here. It's not really a peg, more so just, hey, it sits here, I guess. But once you bring that around, you then peg all of this together on both sides. Kind of hard to see because there's like 3 tabs in total. There, it's all lined up. And then once you have that done, you take this section. Well, before you do that, you want to take this and pull it out. Now, getting the fin out of here is a little annoying. It's on a double hinge. So what I tend to do is just shimmy it forward a little bit. And then you got to kind of get your finger in here and pull this gray section out as well. It's really hard to do. There we go. I got it out. Once you get that out, you then bring this up and it's going to peg into this little gap here as well as back into the same spots as train mode. So you get that all lined up. And I forgot to do something, but the landing gear. You can't pull the landing gear out at all. You have to undo this entire bottom assembly to get the landing gear out and then close it all back up again and make sure it stays in place. And the wings do that, but I'll touch on that later. But there's shuttle mode. It's a space shuttle with junk on the back. The wings don't sit flat. They want to keep popping up slightly, and that's a little annoying. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but other than that and the messy-ish back section, I don't mind the shuttle mode. It's a bit on the boxier side of things, but I find the shaping of it is a lot nicer to me than the Siege one. It rolls pretty well too because the landing gear is all pinned wheels, and I like how the boost effects can go on the back too. Just like the train mode, it's pretty solid. Everything stays here and doesn't untab, unlike some bits on the robot mode. Actually, let's just go back to that robot mode for the rest of this. Triple changers always have that one mode that is really compromised over the other two, and that's usually one of the vehicles. Now, given that most people display their Transformers in robot mode, it's no wonder that a lot of the times those compromises can be somewhat overlooked because a lot of us aren't going to display them in those vehicle modes. I know some do, but most don't. But here on this figure, the compromises are in the robot mode, and that sucks because that's the mode a lot of us will be displaying this guy in, and it has the most amount of issues, both visually and functionally. It doesn't really vibe with a lot of people, and I feel like they may have put their priorities in some of the wrong spots, like having the fold out fin or the wheels connected and the choo-choo effect. They're all really cool, but I feel like if they had eliminated those, some of the parts count money and things could have gone into like cleaning up the robot. I don't know how they really do their budget, so I cannot say for certain if that would work, and I'd love to ask Evan about it, but I'm trying to phrase the question without sounding rude because that is the last thing I want to do. So for now, that question will remain unanswered. As for me, in the end, as a massive leader class fan, Do I like this thing? I was kind of unsure about the answer to that question, but now that I'm done writing this, I think it's safe to say that I don't. The only reason I'm keeping this is because I have every single Studio Series Leader class figure that's come out that isn't a straight package refresh, and it would be a shame to break up that set. But the compromises made for some of the gimmicks just feel straight up weird to me. They focused on the wrong bits to make something different from the Siege one, which I still kind of don't like either. So in my opinion, we haven't gotten a really good Astrotrain since the Classics Deluxe, which is still my favorite. But that's been my look at SS86 Astrotrain. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.